hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin.
Nomai Hadamai, welcome to 3 News. Joe Biden's big day started by introducing Ukraine's President Zelenskyy with the name of his enemy, President Putin. But that's not all. The president's high-stakes solo media conference to prove his competency provided another awkward naming gaffe. Here's US correspondent Mitch McCann.
Walking on stage tonight, Joe Biden was a president under immense pressure. Would he stand up and fight, or would he stand down and leave Trump for someone else? Not a chance, he said.
The consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
But before the solo press conference even began, President Biden fell victim to the greatest of gaffes. At the closing ceremony of the event, he had told the American people to judge him on his NATO summit.
And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Introducing the man who has suffered 867 days of brutal war at the hands of Russian President Vladimir Putin as President Putin.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelenskyy.
Zelenskyy and Biden laughed it off.
Mr. President,
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
But the timing couldn't be worse. Biden's fitness as a presidential candidate has been under intense scrutiny since his calamitous performance in the CNN presidential debate 2 weeks ago.
I just got to pace myself a little more. Pace myself.
At least 20 Democrats have now called for a new nominee, but Joe Biden is adamant he is still the man for the job.
Tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
The president was asked if he would step aside for his vice president if data showed that Kamala Harris could do better against Donald Trump.
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that.
Joe Biden outlined the medical examinations he's undertaken, neurological exams to prove his mental acuity, and he says he's been given the tick by the doctors as he defended his age.
The only thing age does is help you with it, creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention.
This doesn't sound like a man that's thinking about getting out.
You know, he looked like a different person compared to the debate 2 weeks ago. But the bar was set, pretty low.
For the most part, the president was able to alleviate some fears in this room.
This is not about one press conference, one debate, one speech. This is about the presidency of the United States.
The 81-year-old fired up with a zinger against his opponent, former President Donald Trump.
My schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing.
While a lot of his press conference was centered around his political future, the president navigated foreign and domestic policy questions with energy.
More children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing?
Though it didn't come without a hitch. The president stumbled out of the starting blocks on the first question, referring to his running mate, Kamala Harris, as his opponent, Donald Trump.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Trump immediately pounced, posting a clip to his Truth Social saying, "Great job, Joe."
How do you truly back that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference.
A defiant Biden remains in the fight for now.
Mitch is with us now from New York. Kia ora, Mitch. Surely these gaffes are not good for the president's re-election campaign.
Yeah, good evening. Kia ora to you, Sam. Not good at all. It seems like this car crash of a campaign is veering further off the road every single hour for the Democrats. At the moment, as we mentioned, there are up to 20 Democrats in the party publicly calling for Joe Biden or pleading for Joe Biden to step aside. But as we know, he's refusing to do that. But there is someone else in the party who has a lot of influence that is not a senator and is not a congressman. And that is the former President Barack Obama, who is reportedly increasingly concerned that his party will no longer be able to win in November. That's according to reports here in the US. It's also been reported that he knew about that opinion piece from George Clooney in the New York Times. George Clooney asking Joe Biden to step down yesterday. It's been reported Obama knew about that in advance and did not dissuade Clooney from publishing it. So perhaps Barack Obama here is playing some role of influence behind the scenes that we're only just beginning to learn about.
Mitch, what's the sense on the ground in the US? Can he dig his toes in, or does it feel like at this point there's an inevitability that he will have to step aside?
Well, I think up until tonight's press conference, there was that inevitability, Sam, but Joe Biden was just so defiant tonight, it doesn't look like he is going to step down. Look, if he goes to the convention and wins that nomination in August, that is pretty much it. He will be on the ballot come November. There is still a chance that after the convention, he could stand down and the Democratic National Committee could pick someone else. But it's very late, it's close to the election, and it could open the party up to legal problems and legal cases in different states over ballot issues. So it's going to be very problematic for the Democratic Party if Joe Biden tries to stand down after the convention. It's only 39 days away, and the only person benefiting from this entire mess at the moment, Sam, is one person, and that's Donald J. Trump.
Yes, problematic either way at this point. Mitch, thanks so much for joining us. Well, before that high-stakes presidential presser, our Prime Minister wound up the Washington leg of his US trip, praising Joe Biden after several short catch-ups with him. Christopher Luxon saying Biden has a, quote, really nice personality. Luxon also made some big, bold promises to the people and president of Ukraine. Chief political correspondent Tova O'Brien was there.
Christopher Luxon hearing firsthand about the horrors of war from the Ukrainian president and actually considering going far further, travelling to Ukraine himself to see it in person. You would consider going over there?
Yes, I would. And the Prime Minister and I have had regular conversations since I've become Prime Minister as well.
Harking back as far as 2 years ago, Volodymyr Zelenskyy has been wanting a New Zealand Prime Minister to visit.
It's really important that the leaders of those countries would be able to come to Ukraine and see something with their own eyes, because that would allow them to have a profound understanding of what the needs of the people of Ukraine.
The Ukrainian president was the special guest at a meeting of the NATO partners, New Zealand, Australia, Japan and South Korea, known as the Indo-Pacific Four.
I want to start by just recognising and appreciating you and your leadership. It has been exceptional.
It was also Luxon's chance to take centre stage on the world stage, chairing the meeting, using the platform to call out our biggest trading partner, China, for its support of Russia.
The intensifying military relationship we see between Russia and the DPRK and China's role in supporting the rebuilding of Russia's industrial base demonstrates the indivisibility of security issues between Europe and our part of the world.
Zelenskyy upping the PM's star power, not long after Luxon topped up Zelensky's firepower, having earlier announced a further $16 million for Ukraine. But just $6 million of that is for military support. And 2 years ago, Zelenskyy described New Zealand's then $7.5 million in military support like this.
3,000 shells.
3,000 shells?
Yes.
So it's not a lot.
It's not even a day of the war. It's not.
Since then, our military contribution has topped $83 million. By Zelenskyy's calculation, that's not even 11 days of the war, a war which has now been raging for 869 days.
We're open to continuing to do more, and you've seen us and you saw me in opposition express very strongly my support for the President and also for Ukraine. He and I have spoken several times. We have a good relationship, a good affinity. He knows to ask for things if he needs things.
Attending a wider NATO meeting, the PM chalked up a second catch-up with the US President.
Prime Minister Luxon of New Zealand.
After the pair met for the first time at a White House dinner last night.
We had a couple of interactions last night which were lovely, and then today we had a pull-aside with Secretary Blinken, the President and myself.
The Prime Minister posted this pic of him and Joe Biden on X, the President looking notably frail. Washington's been Luxon's greatest hobnob job yet, from world leaders galore to the NATO Secretary General.
Once again, welcome. I very much appreciate our partnership.
and he finally got that delayed sit-down with Texas Senator and Trump backer Ted Cruz. Straight from the heart of the Trump campaign to the fire of Biden's, the Prime Minister's making a mad dash from here in Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, where he'll meet the California Governor Gavin Newsom. Newsom is a long-time Joe Biden ally, but also presidential hopeful. He tops almost all the lists of potential successors for the president, a role which is looking increasingly necessary by the day.
Well, Tova has just landed in San Francisco alongside the Prime Minister's entourage. Tova, will the Biden blunders impact the last leg of Christopher Luxon's US trip?
Yeah, Sam, it was always pretty interesting that he was going to be meeting with Gavin Newsom, that presidential hopeful, that top pick of successor for Joe Biden. But I think after those frankly appalling blunders from the president today, calling the Ukrainian President Vladimir Putin, calling his Vice President Kamala Harris Donald Trump, that role of successor is looking damn more necessary by the day.
Tova, thanks so much.